Hello, my name is Darrel Nelson. I'm Exhibits Director for Deadwood History, and I'm standing in one of our buildings, the 1876 Museum, lower level, where we have our carriage collection. It's a working collection because they all go out the door for the parade every summer. I'm standing here because I'm honoring Fred Evans, a man who was big in every way, 6'4", 200-something pounds. And behind me is the kind of wagon that establishes fame locally. He was an amazing person. Through his life, he was a rancher, a banker, real estate developer, tried many businesses, worked on the West Coast, worked in the Midwest, moving all the time. But as I worked with this story, I began to think, this is not just about a big business. This is about a guy who thought way ahead of his time. So behind me is a freight wagon. And he's famous in Deadwood because he had one of the biggest freighting companies, hauling freight from Fort Pierre in the river to here, about a mile an hour using bull trains. And that was a huge industry. In his day, the late 1870s, early 1880s, there were some 20 large companies. He was one of them. He had between 2,000 and 3,000 oxen, about 1,500 mules, about 1,000 men and wagons. It was big industry. So we think of him in terms of the scale of it. But as I reviewed his life a little bit, oh, and I should mention right there that with all these animals, in 1 year he hauled 7 million, with an M, million pounds of freight to Deadwood. With each of these three wagon sets pulling about maybe 10 to 20,000 pounds, that's 300 to 400 units of wagons. It's huge. So when you think of old frontier Deadwood, think traffic, lots and lots of stuff. Everything that was here that wasn't grown here or bricks made here came on freight wagons like this. So Fred Evans not only was big in that way, he anticipated railroads coming and eliminating that business entirely, which they did. But before that happened, long before that, he had interests in hot springs. And he built, and he was a contractor, and he rebuilt after fires. He moved into city politics. It's amazing that he could anticipate and get things to happen. He decided at some point, I can phrase for him, I'm going to make Hot Springs a national destination. He did by stuff that he built. Evans Plunge is named after him. He started Evans Plunge. He brought 2 railroads into the city. So my summary of thinking about him, Mr. Big Fred Evans, was he was a very creative entrepreneur, thought big. We have our Western legends, Wild Bill, Penny Jane. I'm sorry, they didn't think big like Evans did. And my view is that people like Evans really made the West. They changed the whole character of what happened here. So if you were to follow me around the exhibit area, there'd be story after story after story like this, where people who thought this way, they were inventive, they thought big. And so when you come to Deadwood history, it's not just a bunch of stuff, it's story, layered all kinds of ways, and it comes alive. And that's what we do here at Deadwood History. Please come, thank you.